Hi, good day. Today I'm going to explain the five generations of computer. But first, I'm going to introduce myself. I am Lenshe as Sionomio, a first year IT student here in ACLC College. So, in my presentation, I am going to explain the generations of computer. But first, I will give an overview about a computer and the development of computer. So, what is a computer? So, as you all know, a computer is like typing a document, sending emails, using Facebooks, and playing games. But then, the true definition of computer is an electronic device that processes and manipulates information and data. Also, it has the ability to store, retrieve, and process data. Also, using a computer, yes, it was typing documents, sending emails, playing games, and you can browse the web. So that was a computer. So the development of computer. So this generations of computer was really a amazing timeline of how computers accelerate or changes its specifications. So the history of computer development is often referred to in reference to different generations of computing devices. Each generation of computer is characterized by a major technological development. So in different generations, it has own a major technological development. So it would be a, a devices or any technological devices has been used in that generation. So that fundamentally changed the way computers are. So it changed through generation to generations. It changes how it operates, resulting in increasingly smaller. So the big first, I think first generation will be the big computers, and lastly will be the small one. So it will be cheaper, more powerful, and more efficient and reliable devices. So let's see if what are the first generation's computer look like. So first generation computer. So it was used a vacuum tubes in the late 1940 to 1956. So as you can see, a computer in the first generation is taking up a whole entire room. So it was really big. And also it uses vacuum tubes which has for its circuitry and magnetic drums for memory. So imagine a magnetic drums. It's very big. And also taking up entire rooms. It's very expensive. Yeah, as you can see that big. It's really expensive. It's really consume a lot of electricity. So I think it also has a lot and expensive maintenance. And it's generated a lot of heat. It generates a lot of heat, so it consumes a lot of heat. And which was often the cause. So if it generates a lot of heat, it would be it would become or it will become malfunction. Nowadays, computers if generating a lot of it would be it's okay. We can use it with it or we can get with it like that. So it relied on machine language to perform operations. Could solve one problem at a time. So see, imagine the first generation computers. It solved one problem in a time. So imagine how slow and how boring could be the first generation of computer. But I think be- people before is is blessed and thankful that they already have a computer. So input was based on a punch cards and paper tape, and the output was displayed on printout. So the output or the communication or the problem has solved would be a printout displayed. So the UNIVAC and the India computers are an examples of the first generation computing devices. So that's all for the first generations. So let's see for the second generations. The second generation of computer is the transistors. So as you can see, it also take up an entire room in the second generation, but I think it's smaller than the first generation. So in the second generation, it uses transistors. It was replaced the vacuum tubes, allowing computers to become smaller, faster, cheaper, and more energy efficient and more reliable than the first predecessor. So more energy efficient. So it consumed a less energy compared to the first generations. It was faster, so it's faster, it's cheaper. And still, it also relied on punch cards for input and print out for output. But still, it's faster. It is a good news that in the second generation, the computer is become faster, smaller, cheaper. It also moved from cryptic binary machine language to symbolic or assembly languages, which allow programmers to specify instruction units. So in the second generations, it is moved from cryptic binary machine. So it uses binary machine already language to assembly, which allow programmer to specify the instruction. So it uses a binary to let the programmers input or specify the instructions through words. So next, the third generation. So the third generation was a integrated circuit. Integrated circuit was used. So an integrated circuit was a miniature of transistors and placed on silicon chips called semiconductors, which increase the speed and efficiency of computers. So as you can see, an integrated circuit was in the motherboard. In the motherboard, if you are if you if you can see a motherboard, there are many integrated circuits in there. So in the third generation, it becomes speed efficiency and the computer becomes smaller as it compared to the first and second generations that it's consume and take up a whole room. So instead of punch cards and printouts, users interacted through keyboards. So I think this computer is, um, I think I didn't witness this kind of computer, but it's look like. So the input is using keyboards, and you can interact through keyboards and monitors, and the output will be the monitor. So you will input to the keyboard like you're going to communicate through the keyboard using a keyboard to input words or what you're going to solve problems, and the output will be the monitor. So computers for the first time became accessible to a mass audience because they were smaller and cheaper than their past generations. So in 1964 to 1971, the computer is accessible to most of the people because it became smaller and it's reliable as it compared to the two generations has passed. So next, the fourth generation. The fourth generation is the microprocessors were used. It was it was it was fit in the palm of the hand. So let's see how amazing amazing the acceleration of computer. It was, imagine the first generation filled in the entire room, and the third generation can fit in just in the palm of the hand. So in 1981, IBM introduced its first computer for the home user, so you can use it at home. And in 1984, Apple introduced the Macintosh. The Macintosh is a computer, I think it was a model of an Apple computer. And this small computer became more powerful. They could be linked together to form network, which eventually lead to the development of the internet. So using the microprocessors, this is the time they developed the internet. So I think this computer was the first time I witnessed a computer when I was in elementary. Like the monitor was a thick one, and it has it has keyboard that's so thick also and hard to type. Yeah, I witnessed that kind of computer. And also it says that this computer could be linked together through a network. So it can connect it can connect many computers using a network. So it's called like how we do. It's an example of networking. So by the using of the internet. So the fourth generation of computer also saw the development of GUIs and the mouse and the handheld devices. So an example of GUIs is the mouse in like the pen. What we call that one? The like you're going to write your signature and it will the output will show to the monitor. So it was an handheld devices. So next, I forgot to explain the microprocessor. The microprocessor was this one. This is a microprocessor. Um, as what I have known, the brand of microprocessor is an Intel and AMD, and I think that's I think that's all. I know the brands of microprocessor. So last, the fifth generations, the present and the beyond um, computer. If what would be the present, what would be the future computers? If what would be the present computer look like? So the fifth generation is an artificial intelligence. It was using an artificial intelligence. As you can see, this laptop I'm using, it has its own artificial intelligence, an AI on it. It called Cortana. So whatever I can type, whatever I can say, it it do or it work. Like okay, search this one. It will search by its own. So the fifth generation of computing devices, it's based on artificial intelligence, but still it is in development. So expect the unexpected in the future, and more the high tech could come. So though there are some applications such as voice recognition that are being used today, it also helping to make artificial intelligence using a parallel processing in semiconductors. So using a parallel processing in semiconductors to develop an artificial intelligence in the reality. As you can see in the picture, this one is an AI robot in an AI player for tennis. Like it called Tobio. So Tobio was developed for playing tennis. So we don't know in the future if men doesn't respect women in playing tennis. So this would be the substitute. Imagine. And quantum computation and molecular and nanotechnology will radically change the face of computers in years to come. So by quantum computation, it was the behavior of the I think it's deals in science like the gravity. I think that's more quantum computation, quantum theory. It's based on the quantum theory. So the goal of fifth generation is to develop devices that respond to natural language input and are capable of learning and self-organization. So see, the goal of the fifth generation is by capable of learning by its own. Like you will not, you will not, you will not commanding them. They have their own instinct that it what they were going to do. So that's what they want. That's what they were going to develop someday in the future. So expect that. Expect that one. So my presentation will end up here. To sum up all, It has 5 generations. The first one is the vacuum tubes, using a vacuum tubes and then take up an entire room. Second would be using a transistors. It also takes up an entire room but smaller compared to the first generation. So the third one is IC, the integrated circuits, that it could be seen in the motherboard. And the fourth one would be using a microprocessors, like it was the brain of the computer. So it processes data. It is the one who processes data, manipulates data. So and the last one, the fifth generation, it was using an artificial intelligence. So that was my presentation was all about. So it was my references, and if you have any questions and clarifications, you can comment down below in the comment section, and I will I will answer all of your questions. So thank you for listening, for taking time to watch my presentation. So thank you. God bless and keep safe.